Sound design can be a really weird and mysterious field to try to break into, especially professionally if you want to work in film or games or animation or anything like that. There's not a lot of advice out there on how to get started, so hopefully I can demystify a little bit of the process for you if you want to eventually do this professionally. So the first thing I recommend you do is understand how audio works in general. And I'm not saying you need to be some crazy scientist or anything like that, but understanding how mics work, how all the ports and hookups work, how all the software works at a base level will help you immensely throughout your entire career. So one book I recommend for getting started is called Home Recording for Musicians for Dummies. Home Recording for Musicians for Dummies, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. But that's the book I actually started with when I started doing music and sound design for games. And it explains everything from how microphones work, what the differences are, what the software is. It gives you a really good base landscape of everything. Now, after that, I recommend, if you already understand how audio works, getting some sort of portable recording setup so that you can record sounds throughout your home or outside on the go, wherever you are. Now, if you're on a budget, you don't necessarily need one of these, but what I recommend getting started with is what's known as a field recorder. And you can see here I have my microphone plugged in, my lav, and it has two portable mics on the very top as well. So what this allows you to do is get close to any sound and record it, or plug in any mics that you like and record it using those, or mix it all together. You can use the mics on top as well as the mics that you plug in. Really, really good for getting quick sounds, recording stuff in your kitchen or out in the park or whatever it may be. Very, very handy. You can just shove an SD card in there, record it whatever you want, and then throw it onto your computer. So speaking of that, you also need some form of audio software to edit, chop up, and create sounds from scratch. So I recommend Audacity if you're on a budget. It's totally free, Mac and PC compatible. And if you want something that's professional and fully featured, but again, you're still on a budget, I recommend Reaper, which is another DAW, which is just awesome. A lot of pros use it, especially in sound design. And there are links to all of these, again, in the description below. So Reaper and a field recorder. I have one that I recommend in the description below if you're on a budget, called the Tascam DR05, and also some sort of synthesizer or synthesis knowledge. So if you are using Reaper, Logic, GarageBand, whatever software that's out there, especially Reason, you can have access to lots of synthesizers, because sound design isn't just about recording and editing sounds, it's also about creating them from scratch using synthesizers and then mixing it all together with the stuff that you record. So getting some knowledge on synthesis basics, and there are some videos on my channel here that you can watch for that, and knowing how all that stuff works is very helpful. But most importantly is experimentation. So if all you have is your phone and Audacity and GarageBand, all of it just for free or just whatever you have laying around, even just a computer or a laptop that you're recording stuff with, that's great. Just start experimenting and learning what all those different effects do, what compression does, what distortion does, EQ, reverb, all that sort of stuff. Going step by step down that giant list of effects that you see in every piece of audio software and playing around, seeing what it sounds like on a voice, what it sounds like on an ambience, what does it sound like on an explosion, etc. will help you get that ear and that creativity that will come out when you start to go professional and start creating some weird, unique, cool sounds from scratch. And even when you are professional, you're still experimenting a lot. It's a big playground. All of the professionals know how the different plugins work, what all the knobs do, but they still experiment. They still play around. They're still not 100% sure what things will turn out to be in the end. So you gotta just play around with the stuff and, most importantly, have fun with it and just learn as you go.